an ace after the fight, flying on empty, lost in the night, trying to keep some space between the water and me. It ain't easy, so follow your dream, have a good life, go and make someone a beautiful wife. Baby, it breaks my heart, Lord, I wish it were me. But can't you see, I can never hope to take your hand while I'm flying on empty, looking for a safe place to land. I see no coast on my horizon, just heavy rain clouds closing in. Below our seas and stormy oceans, that's why I can't have you around. No, I don't wanna drag you down. I'm all out of luck, all out of faith. Somebody out there, give me a break. Love and a steady job is all I really need to set me free. Cause I ain't got time for making plans while I'm flying on empty, looking for a safe place to land. Trail blaze across the sky, ring out the bells and light up the beacon. Oh, I got an engine on fire, the wheels down but only one tire. I feel like an ace after the fight, flying on empty, lost in the night, trying to keep some space between the water and me. It ain't easy, so follow your dream, have a good life, go and make someone a beautiful wife. Baby, it breaks my heart, Lord, I wish it were me. But can't you see, I could never hope to take your hand while I'm flying on empty, looking for a safe place to land. I'm flying on empty, looking for a safe place to land. Flying on empty, looking for a safe place to land.
And that was in tribute to something that I haven't decided yet, but it's always good to say that about something unless you expose the fact that you were doing it for reasons other than the fact that you're trying to devote it to something, in which case it all falls flat and the whole falls apart, so I don't even know why I was saying it to begin with. Hello everyone, welcome to another shit stream where I fuck about, fumble around and bore you to death until I get bored to death and then end the stream and go and do something else. But while you're here, I'll do my best. And that's not saying much. So, everyone take a seat. If you're not sat down, fucking find a seat. Then sit down. If you're already sat down, then you're ahead of the game. So yeah. Last week we did we just sort of went through loads of shit that happened in 2019. And now we can do a list of all the shit that's happened in 2020. Because quite a few things have gone down in 2020 already. What's this? This is an email. Okay. So yeah, Linley A31. Hey, sorry for wait. Linley Here's some extra to make up for it. Anyways, have a lovely day, night, love your work. Well, ask a question if you're gonna do a super chat. It's sort of put a question in with it. But thank you. In any case, World War III, which how many? I think it's there's three countries are involved. It's a world war. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's it. But Einstein said, I don't know with what weapons World War III will be fought, but I know that World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. So if there is a World War III on the horizon, we're all fucked. So don't worry about getting drafted, because you won't need to, because it'll just be a series of nuclear bombs incinerating everything you own, everything you love, and you, of course. But like I said, that's highly, highly unlikely. We have many safeguards in place. Mutually assured destruction is a very good safeguard. Of course, there's people out there who just don't give a fuck, so we'll see. Fluffy Noxrin. Hey, when we getting body pillows? Not really sure what about. Are they just really big pillows? In any case, you can just buy a pillow down at fucking Dreamland or Dreamworld or whatever the fuck the places that sell pillows. Love your work, Sam. Keep up the good work. And then Jason Todd. When will you have Lucy on a live stream? Well, you can. There's Lucy here. She's just a bit under the weather, you know. She was very drunk the other night, which is when she was doing Papa. So she's just having a time. She's a bit stiff at the moment. I don't even know if she's awake, but you can get one. You can get a Lucy plushie with. I know that things in the link in the description, but that was a subtle sell. Jesus. Fuck. So yeah. I'm already out of material. Are you worried about COPA affecting you? No. Why? Why am I not worried about COPA affecting me? Well, a few reasons. I don't believe. Don't forget. YouTube is sort of fueled. It's an engine fueled by content that is made by us, the people, and if they piss us off too much, people start to strike out, and that's way more troublesome for them to deal with. So I don't think they're gonna go round shitting on YouTube channels at will, because they'll just get a blowback. It always happens. Now, they said they've amended the COPA rules, and I'm not particularly the type to get all angry about something until, be suspicious, of course, but I'm not going to go around saying, fear-mongering about something that might not even be an issue. So far, it hasn't affected me. So far, it hasn't affected most people. So we can see. Fenna, wanted to ask you about your thoughts on Kiwi Farm's page about you. Have you checked it yet? They got a ton of info on you. I'm not really. I'm not that bothered. I suppose in life you gotta have your critics, and I'm no different. So, it's not something that for those of you who don't know, people who just generally find my stuff weird and like to talk about how weird it is, it's a bit odd because everyone creates content for people with a taste for it, and that taste isn't going to extend to every human being. Some people aren't going to have a taste for that content, and the best thing to do is to just not watch it then. But I'm not going to alter my course in any way because a few people don't like it. So it's not something I'm gonna fucking get in a twist over. Just be, will you sign up for World War 3? And you missed my first super chat. Did I? Shit. It's because it doesn't do the Oh, here we go. I know it. There it is. 2016 celebs died. 2020 everyone else goes out with World War 3. Pretty much. Am I signing up for World War 3? Probably not. If a bunch of people have a problem, like the thing with wars is that I wouldn't want to put my life on the line. I wouldn't want to put my life on the line just because a couple politicians can't get along. So, unless it was against a genuine threat to my freedoms, in which case, obviously you're sort of duty bound to defend your society. How have you been lately, Mr. Fenner? I've been alright. I've been good. Just been working on my book. Having a cup of tea. Watching a bit of Game of Thrones. That's always fun. Mechas87, sorry for the large money drop, but consider it a gift for the awesome work. But question without large spoilers if you can. What's the backstory to Whittaker and Bamforth, the two new characters? Stay hydrated now. Well, let me think. Well, Bamforth and Whittaker in the book are introduced as sort of fighters. Satellite City, as it says on the channel in the About section, isn't plot based. It's a series that just sort of allows me to engineer situations for characters that I have in a way that allows me to experiment with certain things. Some of those little tests work, some of them don't. Some of the dialogue comes off as well as good, and some of it's a bit clunky. The animation's sort of like my way of illustrating it, and that's got its problems. Satellite City exists to just sort of, test things out. As anyone would want to if they were sort of writing a book. So the backstory for them in the show, in the YouTube show Satellite City, doesn't really matter because it's not a plot based show. It's just a sort of testing ground for things like, how would these two characters interact? How would I write a scene with this? How would I, like a sandbox sort of like thing where I can just, and it's all filmed in England where I live in my house because all the sets are there and I can fucking just bring the characters in, and it's a quick way of throwing ideas out at the audience, seeing what sticks, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work, and then because my whole purpose is to write these books, it's not to be I did want to be a really good animator and do shows and stuff, but something changed. Books felt like the better way to go because they are unheld back by technicality or physical ability. With animation, I'm 22. I've been doing it for about 6 years, but there's only so much I could physically do with one computer with a budget of a ham sandwich. I just can't illustrate physically I cannot illustrate what I want to illustrate as perfect as I imagine it. But with a book, you're only limited by your words, and the reader is only limited by their own imagination. So, in that sense, books took over, and I just sort of left behind that idea of, I'll be the best animator, because I don't even want to be at this point. It's just a form of illustration, and I think that the best way of illustrating your ideas is to write about them. And then once you've got that base, once you've got that core sort of text there, then you can adapt that into games, music, film, TV shows, whatever the fuck, plays. But it all starts with a book. Well, I'd like it to start with a book. Satellite City isn't going anywhere, by the way. That doesn't mean that Satellite City is going to just be yoked from the internet. But it is just more of a test thing. And you can see that. You can actually see in the show where I've made decisions to change things. You can see where characters have sort of changed a bit. Winifred at the very beginning was a pretty weak character with no sort of hidden backstory. She was just that. And as I did more with her, you can see her change throughout the show. Same with Lucy. She started out as a pretty, in-your-face, psychotic character. And then as I animated her more, as people gave me feedback on her, she morphed and evolved into a more philosophical character, a political character of depth. She had more things to say. And that sort of echoed through the book. And that's what Satellite City's for. It's to test out ideas, to see what works and what doesn't. Not all of it works. Some of it does. And the bits that work, I put in the book. Anyway, did Kivawakians have vehicles? No. There were no such vehicles in the Kiviwak. Lucy's new model looks so good. Her hair looks so much more realistic. Keep up the good work. Thank you. I do my best with the models. After the book is completed, what's your plans? What plans do you have for your work? And then another one, can you do a Lucy Lacemaker impression? Or can do a pretty fucking piss poor Cockney accent, but I cannot do a fucking Lucy Lacemaker voice because I'm not a fucking female. Are you going to have more pin characters? If yes, then Fontaine should have a space. Yes, I agree. What was that other question? After the book series is complete, what plans do you have for your work? Well, I want to spend about a year or two on each book, so I'll be doing that. I do want to get them published, but it's all about getting the right deal. And if I don't get the right deal, obviously you've got to self-publish if they want to take too much of it. If they're not interested in general, sometimes you just got to fucking go balls to the walls and say, all right, let's do it ourselves. But I'm hoping that the books do well, because they are the refined version of everything. For everything in Satellite City that is sort of confusing or was abandoned or not quite seen through or badly illustrated, and for everything, good and fucking solid and meaningful in the show as well, I've basically taken out the worst elements, kept the worst elements, put them into the book. And after the books, well, we'll see. It all depends on how well the books do. If they do well, then we'll see. Suppose you just gotta busk it. That's what everyone has to do. I can't see the future, can I? I mean, there's 6 books planned. The August View, Volume 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And if they do well, then in an ideal world for me, if they do well, I'd hope to adapt them into some, a game would be nice. TV shows, a film. But they like, much like Game of Thrones, much like anything based on a book, it would always end up being watered down. But just for fun, I suppose. Yeah, there's six books. It was 3. This is an example of how much things change. Though it was 3, and then it became 6, because originally I was going to write books based on Satellite City, and then I thought, no, that's too confusing. And the sort of idea of I didn't want to write a story based on Earth, because that's been done to death. I wanted to sort of write a story based on an idea that was sort of unexplored. A book where I could sort of play around with the rules. I think that's what any good book should be, just like the writer's own version of things. I think if you borrow too much from, history or lore of other ideas, it waters it down a bit. It's sort of like, like orcs. That's an idea that's been around for, generations. Tolkien, I think the Eragon books, if not elves, would serve just as good. Dwarves. Someone can write their own original book about these things, but these ideas have been explored before. And any book set in modern day Earth has been explored to death. So, one thing I wanted to do is just sort of, play around with it and see what works. Do you know when the books might come out? Also, is the voice actor for Heisenflay okay? Yeah, she's fine. She's Australian, so obviously the flies are a bit of a scare, but she's fine. I've made, she's still kicking. Patrick Starr, do you have any other ideas or stories that you'd want to make other than those set in the Kiviwak? I mean, yeah. Yeah, of course they're really unrefined. Writing any story is sort of like making it up as you go along. You can plan it and plan it and plan it and plan it. But the moment you actually start writing it, things start to fall in different places than you might have thought. You might, literally as you're writing, you might think the next sentence is going to be this, and then suddenly you think no. And then the next thing you know, the whole fucking structure's changed. That's what the first draft of a book is. It's just sort of... I can't remember which writer said it, but he wrote Coraline. He said writing a book is like driving through the fog with one headlight on. And that is what it's like. But Satellite City and the content I produce on YouTube helps flicker the second one on for a brief moment, just to sort of see where I'm going. Where I can get feedback on characters. And then think, okay, people like this aspect of Ludwig. I'm gonna put that in the book. People find this aspect of him to be sinister. I'll play that up as well. So it's like, when Tolkien was writing Lord of the Rings, or when J.K. Rowling was writing Harry Potter, or whenever anyone was writing anything, they would bounce ideas off their friends in the pub or whatever. It's natural. You have people read through your drafts and give feedback. But the world's evolved now. And that is precisely what I'm doing with Satellite City. It is going to the proverbial pub, throwing ideas out there, and you, my audience, tell me what works, tell me what doesn't work, and I get feedback, and then I can work that in and shit like that. Anyway, Christ, why do Kiviwakians have 3 belly buttons? Sci-fi, I suppose. Thought it'd be interesting. Because they're very parasitic. So the umbilical cord is what feeds the child within. So giving them 3, I thought, sort of, I don't know, built up this idea that they are very parasitic as children, where they literally feed off the host, not, and to the point where they end up devouring the entire body of the host to, it's fucked up, yeah, but then again, that's what science fiction is. Look at Alien, where someone gets face fucked by a crab and then it bursts out of them, it's fucked up. But then again, that's what sci-fi is. It's not human, Doesn't mean to say that I'm going to go out and say, oh yeah, we should do it. There is a line between fiction and reality. I can write about fucked up things and condemn those things in reality, Just look at Stephen King. But when you're writing something, you've got to detach yourself from, oh, this isn't normal. No, it's not normal. This is very sick. But these are sick characters, This is a sick society by human social contracts, by human ways of thinking. And that's why I think some people, not everyone, to my surprise, but some people get turned off by some of my ideas because it is so out there. But what those people need to remember is that it's not real. It's just a story. They're just characters. Yes, they're fucked up. Yes, they're morally reprehensible. But, at the very least, I would hope that they are interesting to read about and to hear from, to get alternative perspectives. That's what fiction is. It's our way of experimenting with that side of ourselves that we'd normally lock away. What's the point in writing about things that are normal, that everyone knows, that everyone says? The whole point of a work of fiction is to think, well, what would the world be like if there were wizards, if there were dragons, if this happened, if we lost the Second World War? What would the world be like if it's all what if? And sometimes you do need to go into that realm of, yeah, this is fucked. But as but it, like I said, it's just a story. It's not real, Almost forgot Luna and Ludwig. Do you think they should be a sun and a moon deal pin shape? Maybe. That'd be a good little idea. Love your videos. They make my day. Well, thank you very much. But yeah, I've had people all through my life come to me and say, Sam, you must be one fucked person to come up with this. No, not really. I like people. I like talking to people. I don't like hurting people. I don't like arguing. Well, I mean, sometimes an argument can be fun as long as it's, sort of about something interesting. But generally, and obviously not always, when you're a kid, you're a nasty bastard. Most kids are. Well, not nasty, but in any case, just because you come up with something weird doesn't mean you're weird. I think everyone has fucked up ideas. Every human being that ever existed. And you can fucking quote me on that. Every single human being has a weird idea or a fucked up idea, but a lot of them lock it away and they think, oh God, why am I thinking that? Why am I thinking that? And I do too. I think, God, why am I thinking of this? But what writers do and what people who create things do is they say, well, that's weird. Let's draw it and actually put an image to it. Let's put words to this. And there are people who just refuse to see the line between fiction and reality. They think if a character that you created says something evil, you are evil. Look at Has Been Hotel. A bunch of people went after Vivzy Pop because her characters were cunts, and they said, "Oh well, she's a cunt then. She believes this. She wrote it." Yeah, she fucking wrote a bunch of characters in hell saying horrible things. The people who wrote The Godfather, are they gangsters? The people who wrote Batman: The Dark Knight, are they terrorists? The people who wrote Transformers, are they fucking aliens from another world here to wage war? No, they're writers. They create things that aren't fucking real for the entertainment of people. And a lot of people, a fucking shit ton of people, like weird shit. It's entertaining. It is just entertaining. You know, some people say, "Oh, you know, your characters, they're so, you know, morally skewed. Aren't you worried about people watching that?" Well, not really. People watch the fucking Godfather and they don't turn into fucking gangsters, you know? Because it's a film. The Joker recently, that's a film about a mentalist who fucking murders people because he can't get the help he needs. People didn't go out in droves stabbing people to death, shooting them with fucking pop guns. Because it's a film. It's not fucking real. The Evil Within, a game with all this fucked up imagery, it's a game. It's not real. The people who write about fucked up shit aren't fucked up people. They just want to entertain people. Like at Silent Hill, there's another one. You know, you can come up with the most disgusting, horrific ideas and put that in a book or a song or a game or a film, and people can enjoy that. And the people who sit there and say this should be censored, this should be destroyed because it's ungodly, or it goes against what we believe as a society, well then no one would ever create anything. Harry Potter is witchcraft, you know, Game of Thrones is sexist. No, the characters in Game of Thrones are sexist. But he wrote about them. Yes, he did. He's a writer. It's his job to come up with things that aren't fucking real. You see? It's fiction. Anyway. Erica, I don't know what to ask, so just say a cool Yeshua fact. Erica, you can just message me on Skype, you fucking cunt. An interesting Yeshua fact. Let me think. Within the context of Satellite City, one thing I really want to do, this isn't a fact about him, but one thing I want to do with Yeshua is have him smoke a big old cigar when he's introduced next, and light it with his finger. I think that'd be cool. Not necessarily a Yeshua fact, but it's a fact that involves Yeshua. Hey Sam, I have a question from a fan in the chat. Are you cool with Kiv OCs? Yeah, you know, make up your own character, have fun with it, you know. Shout out to you, great work, thank you. Okay, right, what's going on here? I'm currently in the process of looking at my stream buffer. So you guys tell me if it's still going and tell me if it's not. Because I'm looking at me scratching my chin with a little circle going round and round. Stephen King said that the biggest inspiration for new writers is based on A, reading the best book that you have ever read, and B, reading something absolutely terrible. What's your favourite and worst? Favourite and worst book or terrible thing or... Well, he's right. Is the stream still on, by the way? Just okay. It's good. Right. Stephen King's absolutely right. The only people that have a problem with fucked up ideas are people who are, in my experience, boring. There's no other word for it. That doesn't mean they don't have to like what you do. People have their own taste, and they can say, I don't like your idea because it just doesn't appeal to me. That's absolutely fine. I never used to think that. Like 2 years ago even, I used to think that people who didn't like my work were just wrong. But I was wrong in thinking that. That was just me being a fucking angsty teenager. Now I've sort of, I've learned a few things, and it's like, well, they're not wrong. They just don't like it, and that's fine. Some people take it too far, and they're just nasty bastards about it. But what can you do? That's just some people are just nasty bastards. But it's okay for people to just not have a taste for your work. But people who want to censor things because they contain ideas that they think are morally skew, I think that's I think that's a form of insanity. So, let's look at my work. Let's see what my stuff is based off. Since Stephen King said it's based on about like something you really enjoy and something you've read that's terrible. Well, let's look at it then. A book that I really enjoy is The Time Machine. It's by H.G. Wells. Very, very deep philosophical book about, class and, evolution and where a person falls in the hierarchy, in the echelon. In it, you see a future Earth where humanity is split and evolved into two sects, the Morlocks and the Eloi. And they the Eloi are sort of like farmed by the Morlocks, who are much more intelligent and tend to ancient machines underground, and they are farmed and feasted upon and used, And it's an allegory, and it's great. It's great. And when I read that, I thought, I want to make people think in the same way that this book made me think. Because I read that book and I applied it to the world I live in, and I thought that's got a lot of good points to make. So that's one. And something terrible. If you are genuinely inspired by horror, then nature is what nature makes up 90% of the things in my book. It's all based off something. So people who say, "Oh, Sam, you've got a fucked up mind for coming up with this," look at the tarantula hawk wasp. That's Kevorkian reproduction. For those of you who don't know, the tarantula hawk immobilizes the tarantula. It's still alive, but it's just paralyzed. It lays its eggs in its body, right? It eats all the organs in the tarantula that aren't vital to it, just enough to keep it alive. And it lays the eggs in the body, and the fucking living tarantula is eaten from the inside out by the young. That was the inspiration for how my fictional species would reproduce. Okay. Right. I think we're back. Okay. I think we're back. Right. Anyway, as I was fucking saying, yeah. Okay, can you all hear me now? Can you... Can you hear me? Let me know when you can hear me, because it's on. Okay, right. Anyway, I don't know what I was up to, but I was up to like chopping heads off animals. Cockroaches inspired the thing with the Kivawakians, and you know, also a black widow spider will eat the head of its mate, and also because of its neural network, if you cut the head off a turtle, it will continue to swim. Nature is a cruel fucking thing, and a lot of the fucked up stuff in my book and in the world of my show, well, not my show, but you know, my universe, I suppose, is based on actual things. So, you know, it's all sort of inspired by reality, which is interesting. So yeah, fuck. All right. Is Whittaker in the book? Yes. Whittaker is in the book. I was actually just doing work on chapter 1 again. Chapter 1 of the book is called A Well-Fed Fire, and it opens up to... I was just doing a bit of work on the new paragraph that opens up the story, and it goes as followed. What a beautiful thing economy is, an organism comprised of complex relationships where behind the curtain of blissful ignorance the chains of production rattle. One does not plan it, such a system can only be evolved into and then forgotten, for the complexity of economy fades into the background as it should. That is, until things go wrong. Then one might wish upon themselves a deeper understanding of the mechanisms, to lift the curtain and bear witness to the machine. And Lockett's economic machine was surely one of reckoning. A society of trade, item for item, favour for favour, where nobody sold more than they bought, nor bought more than they sell. A perfect balance, but not without its holes. And Lockett's society, though brilliant, was not without those who would exploit these holes. In order to witness such exploitation, we must first venture to the... Yeah, blah, 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 blah. That's how the book's introduced. Well, that's after the prologue. There's a prologue, and then it goes into chapter 1. But I was just doing a bit of work on that today. So yeah, that's what I've been working on in my big main time, you know. That's the main goal. There's actually quite a funny line of Ludwig's. Where is it in the book? I'll read this to you. It's at the end of chapter 4, where he sort of summarizes the Kivawakian economy in a way that both makes sense and sort of sounds funny to read. Right. Here we go. Where is it? There's a little section here. So in the book, there are obviously fictional establishments, doll houses, laugh houses, bath houses, chop shops, book burrows, you know, ink houses. You know, you've got the press, you've got libraries, you've got, you know, food halls, and a big part of the book is centered around the economy of this world. This is a little bit from chapter 4 where Lucy and Ludwig are discussing said economy. Okay. So this is when Lucy and Ludwig had sort of said, there's, just to sort of explain the light situation, light in the world sort of grows through the city in untamed phosphorescence. So it's like different colours growing throughout the city, and whenever there's no colour, whenever there's no light, that's called a black phase, where everything is sort of shrouded in darkness. But here's a short extract from my book, and this one, because the past few times I've read out some descriptive bits. This is some dialogue. So you guys can tell me what you think. What's the paper about then? Lucy asked nervously as darkness intruded down her back. Her fear of it became apparent. Does the black phase make you uneasy? Ludwig teased. I've not a good history with it. What's your paper about? Lucy deflected. It's about the trade differential, Ludwig said, sitting cross-legged on the floor, his manuscript upon his lap. Are you abreast of current events? Been clinging to the water channels, keeping out the way, so no. Why don't you tell me? Lucy curled up on her side upon the wall and closed her eyes in defiance of the impending darkness. Ludwig flicked through a few pages of his manuscript and then queried. Do you know that the Incas and Inkhouses do not exist in the Hamelo? Why is that then? Lucy's ears perked up intently, but she did not open her eyes. Because the Hamelo is comprised of what we call the loyalists, politicians, titans of industry, trade, Yolch. They are in the loop by definition. They have no need of Incas. Incas, by the way, in this world are the press, the news, the fake news. They have no need of Incas. They know what's going on at all times. But those of the casino, the vast populace, do not and could not possibly keep abreast of what's happening without a system in place. Incas, an entire trade present in the casino, yet non-existent in the Hamelo. Now tell me, do you know what a bathhouse is? No. It's a place of cleanliness and water, where those of Merc go to have their bodies cleaned and pampered. Lucy scoffed. Ludwig nodded. But we of the casino have places like the Walcombe Bowl, Freda's Vein, and the Mivium Estuary, large, ever-flowing water supplies. So we have no need of bathhouses. Another industry, an entire trade, present in the Hamelo, yet unknown to those of the casino. Ludwig watched as Lucy's eyes flicked open. Her attention had been caught. You've no doubt heard of service for supply, Ludwig elaborated. You might want an item, a bottle of liquid laughter, a dolly, a new hat, or a book. And so for that, you would offer a service, as a favour, as compensation, payment even. Lucy's brow was scrunched. Her face became intense as Ludwig painted this picture. That practice is widely accepted in the casino. That is not accepted in the Hamelo, where all trade is item for item, stock for stock, whether it be temporary lending like a dolly, or a permanent transaction of goods. You can't barter with favours and unvetted services. Really? Lucy remarked. A whole method of trade present here and not there. A little out of sync, aren't they? Absolutely. And that's what we refer to as the trade differential. It exists because the voice of the Hamelo and the voice of the casino dictate all matters of commerce in their respective districts. Does that work? It works and it does not. On the one hand, the system is very flexible. It allows for both Yeshua and Methuselah to run their districts without stepping on each other's toes. It allows new laws and legislation to pass through the government without blockage. The young Inca looked back at his document and flicked through it, reviewing the facts before he made them heard. On the other hand, he said, with revised confidence, it's a system with a few holes, and in these holes creatures like Fontaine and Wiley thrive. It's not easy to exploit. But to leaders of our breed, the paradigm, that's not enough. So, said Lucy, rolling onto her back, ignorant of the darkness that swallowed her. There's something that can be done about it, right? Because I changed the system. Well, there's a rumour. One that we can't print until confirmed, so keep it under your proverbial hat. That Lockett, our grand voice, is on the cusp of announcing a solution.
But we won't know what that is until word is passed around by much larger ink houses. As long as it gets rid of illegal folk, Lucy spat. Ludwig raised an eyebrow. That would include yourself, he said. I stole from one and used it to better my position. But I ain't like Wiley. I've had my fill with illegals. Lucy quietly fumed. Ludwig pondered his response. Yes, I'm inclined to agree with you on that one. He then used his little remaining light to scan his work before offering the young lacemaker a final bit of advice before darkness swallowed the township. He said, The doll houses stock the blood holes stock the doll houses, the laugh houses stock both and both stock the laugh houses. The chop shops feed the streets and the streets feed the chop shops, and the book burrows educate the streets and the streets provide information for the ink houses and the ink houses spread the news. The bathhouses clean the sullen, and the sullen remark their bodies in a dollhouse. Ludwig chuckled to himself and turned to Lucy as the light faded. Made simple, this is our economy. Nobody buys more than they sell, nobody sells more than they buy. Governed by the invisible hand of self-interest, and it all runs on demand. If you want to last here, Lucy Lacemaker, you will fulfill that demand. That is a small extract of the book, a dialogue between Lucy and Ludwig at the end of chapter 4. So, yeah. Now, if you didn't understand a lot of the phrases there, don't worry. That was from chapter 4. They are explained in the first 3 chapters and the prologue. But yeah. That's just Ludwig sort of giving loose. Ludwig is an inker, which means he works for the press. His job is to write articles and report the news for his ink house, and an ink house is sort of like a big building dedicated to fucking the news. So yeah, but that is what I'm working on for realsies. My animations, sure, I really enjoy doing it, and I really enjoy portraying these characters, and they're not perfect, they've got problems, but I have fun with it, and all of you guys have fun with it, and I'll continue to do it as long as it's fun, which it will be, I've never gotten bored of it yet, so but that book is the thing that I'm really working on. That's what my YouTube content is sort of fueling. But like I said, we'll see how it goes. And it all goes well. And it's a political drama. So it's not really I'm sure you could tell from that little extract, it's not about, wars or fucking, magic or, the destiny of the chosen one or fucking revenge. It's a political drama, and the first one is heavily centered around economy, trade, politics, all this stuff. It's got quite a few other, things worked in there. That reminds me, are there other towns or cities in the Kivawakian world, or is it just the one super city with different districts? The only thing I'm going to say right now is there is only one city referenced that you're going to hear referenced by me. You want to know if there's any more? You got to read the books. But the book mainly takes place in the Underbirth, which is this huge city the size of Venus, and it's fixed in place by in this place called the Glaze, this wide open huge area of the Kivawak. So yeah, it's a political drama driven by the politics of the world, the economy of the world, and just what characters want, what they need, motivation, intrigue, and it's weird and it's fucked up, and I think it's interesting. I think it gives a lot of people to chew on something, there's a lot to sink your teeth into. There's a lot of information to absorb in the book. So, I hope people enjoy it. Oh, thank you to Tiki Tiki 2 for the €20. So I hope people enjoy it. But we'll see when it comes out. Yeah, there's 6 books planned. I think I'm just going to call them like the August View Volume 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 just to keep it nice and simple. But, generally there's... And the first book is 3 acts and 22 chapters. I finished Act 1 just before the new year. I'm now on Chapter 8. So, I'm making my way through it. So, but there's a lot of stuff. I'll have to see how they do. Oh God. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap up this stream because it's now an hour long. Is the Underbirth just basically trying to run by anarchism with the government? No, actually, the Underbirth in the world, the Underbirth is a very structured system. It operates on merit. There is no sort of paid currency. Where is it? I can read you a bit. Here. I'll read you another bit. This one's not as long, don't worry, and it's not a spoilery section. It's just an extract of dialogue between Lockett and Wexel, and it's quite short as well. Let me think. Does it actually help? Yeah. So it's a structured system based on trade and merit. They have no currency other than what they're trading for, like item for item. But the main currency is respect. If you're a respected creature, you are wealthy. That's how wealth operates there. Your importance, how much you contribute to the society. So it's not an anarchistic kill. Just kill everyone you see world. If you kill someone of prominence and they do their job well, people are going to be pissed off that you've killed that, and then you're probably going to get your head chopped off because of that, because people are like, fuck you, There's actually, tell you what, there's, where's my... This isn't in the book yet, but it's just a note, but it's coming up in the next chapter, which sort of illustrates the balance, where it says... So a dollhouse in the Kiverwhack is sort of like a flesh market where they go for pleasure. That's what that is. And one of the lines coming up, I've only got it in my notes right now, is if a dollhouse owner starts demanding higher unjustified prices for their dollies, they will quickly be replaced by a doll who demands lesser of a price. If patrons provide less than adequate income for the doll, then the doll will simply trade off the dollies to a blood hall and the patrons will lose their leisure. There is a balance. And it's not about justice or morality, it's about incentive. So that's an upcoming line that I'm going to work in. Because it is a structured world that runs on economy, that runs on respect and what you bring to the table. And if you're a useless fucker, you're not going to last long. If you're weak, you're not going to last long. If you're dumb, you're not going to last long. It's a society that rewards strength and power and, cunning and usefulness. Keep up the awesome work. Quick question: how long did it take you to finish the Lucy Lacemaker animation? That was about a week. It took a week to make that. I started it a week tonight, actually. Actually, no. It was a Thursday, wasn't it? I can't remember. It took about a week to make. I did it in 3 parts, 3 little sections. I separated it and did it like 3 sections, and I spent about 2 days on each, thereabouts. So yeah, about a week. But to end the stream, I'll give you another little extract between Lockett and Wexel, and we'll end the stream there. Economy is amoral, Wexel, Lockett spoke, her haunting eyes fixed upon the path before her. It has nothing to do with justice. It's not about getting what is deserved, nor is it about making whole the pockets of poor investors or traders. Lockett swivelled sharply to the left, and Wexel graciously articulated her way around the impressive display of tails at her leader's back. Economy is the work of the enlightened, not rash fools who wish to reset its bones. We've brought light to our little corner of the Kivawak, and they are for the dark. Most agreed, Wexel caught up with Lockett's stride. But it's not dealing with hollow-minded dolts, Lockett. It's rooting them out to begin with. Lockett stopped and turned to the Yoshan commander, pressing one of her crimson nails into Wexel's chest. Do not mistake the glow of intelligence for the mimicry of it. You need only ignore their display and listen to what they speak of. You speak of Methusa, Wexel said with a dash of confusion. Methusa is intelligent. Lockett pulled her finger back and continued to walk, which makes her potential energy a point of anxiety. The girl needs to start making use of her impressive mind, not her bleeding hearts. Bleeding hearts? A point of poetry, Wexel. Nothing more. That's just a very brief exchange, but it just sort of gives you an idea as to, like, you know, it is a world that functions. It's not mad. It's mad to us, but it's not, you know, a complete piss take where it's like everyone just murders everyone because they can. You know, I suppose you could. Murder isn't really a thing in their world, but, you know, you've got to have a good reason. If you're gonna kill someone in the world of the Kivawak, you better be prepared to sort of replace them to some extent or have some alternative function. If you've got a really strong force in the world that is respected and you kill them, you better have some fucking backup plan. Now, if you prove to be better than them, then no one will mind. They were lesser than you. But if you just fucking attack, like, fucking, you know, yeet some highly skilled trader, you know, that stone falls and another must take its place, and often it does. But that's how the society works. And vice versa, if the trader is so physically unable to defend themselves, then maybe they deserve to die. So it's a system of sort of constantly challenging their breed to be the best that they can be. You know, if you died, it's because you weren't strong enough to live. If you're alive, then you're obviously doing something right. It's Lockett has created a society where natural selection pressures, unlike humanity, they're not torn away by things like healthcare or stuff like that, or like, you know, pampering societies. Lockett has increased the natural selection pressures of her world and said, yes, force out the weak, weed out bad genetics, breed with the strong, do away with, you know, a quote from her in chapter 3 is, a society is conceived, built and maintained by the strong, let not the weak dictate it. This is a fascistic society. And what people need to remember is it's also a fictional society, you know. But writing about this world, for me, is exciting. I like exploring these concepts. I like challenging myself and hopefully the reader with these morally obscure characters and concepts, making people sort of like think, that's really, really not human, but God, they're sort of right, you know? If I can do some of that, then I'll consider my book a success. But we'll see. We'll have to wait and see. That is an end to the stream. Did my camera just fucking glitch? What is this, unfriended? Let me watch that again on my own stream. Hang on a minute. Yes, it did. Wow, I am a ghost, everyone. You better run. Oh shit, we got £10 here. I'm very late to the stream. Was fixing my big boss with my friends. Lost track of time. and Taxi being late. Now, quick question: will Heisenflay ever show her Kivawakian side? Perhaps. But I am going to bed. Well, not to bed. Why did I say that when I know I'm not? I've got a fucking cherry cola or cherry Pepsi. I'm gonna go stay up and play some games. I've been playing Metal Gear Revengeance. Anyway, I hope you all have a good time. Hope you all enjoy the rest of your evenings. Go in peace. And yeah. Also, I will be releasing a teaser trailer for the book soon, early this year. Don't know when. Probably won't be this month or next month or the month after, but it will be at some point. It will be the first half of 2020, and if you like the ideas and the characters of the show, you will absolutely love the book. And even if you're not sure about the show, because I understand that it is fucking just sort of like, a guy in his house talking to creatures, give the book a shot when it comes out. It might surprise you. Might not, but it might. Anyway, good night, everyone. Have a good time. Try and survive 2020 if you can. If you can't, then just, tell you what, why don't we all just, if World War III does happen, why don't we all just commission the graves to be just Fs? Why don't we just do that? At least, we'll die for a fucking meme or something. Good night. Actually, tell you what.